Good morning everyone. Today we are going to start a new unit number 3, that deals with functional dependency and normalization. We have covered unit number 2 and almost all the concepts we have covered. Only 2 concepts were remained, and as I stated earlier, I am going to post the videos for those topics, and you are advised to go through those contents, and in case of any doubts we'll conduct the sessions to clarify your doubts. So let's begin with this unit number 3 that deals with functional dependency and normalization. In general, the goal of relational database design is to generate a set of relation schemas that allows us to store information without unnecessary redundancy, and also it should allow us to retrieve the information easily, and this can be accomplished by designing the schemas that are in appropriate normal form. So we are going to see what we mean by normal form in this particular unit. We are going to introduce a formal approach to relational database design based on the notion of functional dependency. And after introducing the concept of functional dependencies, we are going to define the normal forms in terms of functional dependencies and some other types of data dependencies. Right? So, what we are going to study in this unit? First of all, I am going to introduce you, or I am going to explain you the purpose of normalization. So, what is normalization and why there is a need for normalization? Then we will talk about the data redundancies and update anomalies. We will see the concept of functional dependencies and the process of normalization. Then we are going to focus upon few important normal forms. The first normal form, typically known as 1NF. Second normal form, known as 2NF. Third normal form known as 3NF. The Boyce Codd normal form, known or abbreviated as BCNF. Then we'll see fourth normal form, known as 4NF, and the fifth normal form, known as 5NF. Okay, and finally we are going to see the introduction to temporal functional dependencies. So these are other kinds of functional dependencies. So this is what we are going to study in this unit. So for this unit we are going to have two important books. Those we are going to refer. The first is Database Systems, a practical approach to design, implementation and management by Connolly. And the second is Database System Concepts by Silbert, Scott and Sudarshan. So these two books we are going to refer to for this particular unit. Now let's begin with the purpose of normalization. So let us see what is normalization. A technique for producing a set of relations with desirable properties. Repeat, a technique for producing a set of relations with desirable properties given the data requirements of an enterprise is known as normalization. So, while designing a database, we are having various relations. Correct? And what we want is every relation in a database should have these desirable properties. Right? So a technique for producing the set of relations with desirable properties is known as normalization. So what are those desirable properties? So the very first property is the minimal number of attributes necessary to support the data requirements of the enterprise. So we should have minimal number of attributes. So given the data requirement of an enterprise, what we do? We try to find out, or we try to designate the attributes to store that information. So we should always come up with the minimal number of attributes, those we can use to store the required information about the enterprise. Right? So unnecessarily we should not have many number of attributes, maybe repeating some information. That should not happen. What next? Attributes with a close logical relationship need to be grouped together in a same relation. So if I am having several attributes, and if few of the attributes are very closely related, then we should group those attributes and we should come up with a single relation containing those attributes. In fact, this desirable property can be described as the functional dependency. So we are going to talk about this functional dependency later. But please remember that whichever are the attributes, those are very close to one another, those are closely related to one another. We should group those attributes and we should form a single relation of those attributes. Say for example, we are having ID of the instructor, we are having name of the instructor, we are having salary of the instructor, we are having department name of the instructor, we are having building where the department is running, we are having budget of the department, right, and so on. So if we are having all those attributes, those are required to store the information about the enterprise. We need to pick the attributes those are closely related, meaning ID of the instructor, name of the instructor, salary of the instructor, department name of the instructor, those are actually closely related to one another. And that is why we may group all those attributes and we may come up with the relation, that is instructor. Because these attributes are closely related with one another. Okay? Now, the third desirable property is we should have minimal redundancy. So what does this mean, redundancy? Redundancy means duplication of data. So we should design our relations such that we are having minimum duplication of data. Right? So each attribute should be present only once. Each attribute should be present only once. Only the exception might be in terms of the foreign keys. What I mean by that? See, for example, instructor is the relation that we have formed. Right? Now, if I want to store the data like which instructor is storing which course. So if I try to form the relation like ID of the instructor, name of the instructor, then course ID of the course that the instructor is teaching and the course title of the course and so on. So if I try to form such kind of a relation, then what will happen? name of the instructor has already been stored in instructor table. So there is no need to introduce this redundancy of this attribute name of the instructor, because this has already been stored in instructor. But only thing is, as we want to relate the information, this instructor ID can be used as a foreign key just to relate the data from these two tables, right? But no need to once again store this attribute name, because it creates redundancy. So if we need to use the same attribute more than once, then that should be in the form of a foreign key only, because these foreign keys are really very important for joining the related relations, right? Now let's proceed with informal design guidelines. So before going for formal guidelines, let us try to understand few informal design guidelines that will help us in designing a database. So imparting clear semantics of the attributes in relation, reducing the redundant information in tuples, reducing the null values in the tuples, and disallowing the possibility of generating spurious tuples. So these four are the informal design guidelines, and we are going to look at all those guidelines one after another. So let's start with the semantics of the attributes. So we know the meaning of this word semantics. Semantics means meaning, right? So guideline number 1, informally each tuple in a relation should represent one entity or relationship instance, and this applies to individual relations and their attributes. So what does this mean? In fact, we have talked about this concept earlier. Earlier we stated that the attributes with close logical relationships should be grouped to form a single relation. So here also we are trying to describe the same thing. Whenever we say that the attributes which are closely related, we are talking about the semantics of those attributes. So if the semantics of the attributes, right, is very close to one another, then we should group that data together. So each tuple in a relation should represent one entity. Say for example, if we are grouping the attributes like ID of the instructor, name of the instructor, then salary of the instructor and department name of the instructor. If we are grouping those attributes together, right? And if we are trying to store a tuple, say for example, ID of the instructor is 10101, name of the instructor is say X, salary is say 65,000 and department name is say physics, right? So this is one individual tuple that we are going to store in this relation. So these values of the attributes are actually describing one entity, one instructor, right? So each tuple in a relation should represent one entity or one relationship instance. It should not happen that we are mixing more than one types of entities together, right? We'll see this afterwards with examples. So attributes of different entities like instructors, departments, courses should not be mixed in same relation. Meaning the data related to instructor and the data related to course should not be mixed together to come up with a single relation. Instead, data related to instructor should be stored separately and data related to courses should be stored separately, so that we can have a good meaning of the respective attributes. Those are related in terms of a relation. If we want to relate two tables or two relations, then only foreign keys should be used to refer to other entities, right? So we should not have the redundant information stored in more than one tables. Instead, we should use the foreign keys. Those will relate the entities from different relations. Okay? And entity and relationship attributes should be kept apart as much as possible. Okay? So these are the guidelines, or these are the important points under guideline number 1. So in essence, design a schema that can be explained easily relation by relation. So while describing our design, it would be easier for us to describe that relation if we are creating the relations which are semantically good. Right? So the semantics of the attributes should be easy to interpret. So whatever are the related attributes, we should group all those attributes together. Right? So this was guideline number 1. Now, let us try to look at this second guideline, reducing the redundant information in tuples. Right? So, if we are storing the same information redundantly, that means if we are having duplication of data, then what will happen? Obviously, we are wasting the storage, right? So if we are storing the same information more than once, then obviously we are wasting our memory, we are wasting our storage device. Okay? Now, also, if we are storing the information redundantly, then it causes problems with following anomalies. What are those anomalies? We may have insertion anomalies, we may have deletion anomalies, and we may have modification or updation anomalies. So if we do not want such kinds of anomalies while inserting the data, while deleting the data, or while updating the data in the relations, then we should reduce the redundant information that is being stored in the tuples. Okay? So, our guideline number 2 says that design a schema that does not suffer from the insertion, deletion and update anomalies. Right? Design a schema that does not suffer from the insertion, deletion and updation anomalies. And this is possible if we avoid redundancies. Right? So, if there are any anomalies present, then we should note these anomalies so that applications can be made to take care of these anomalies. What does this mean? Say for example, sometimes it may happen that even though we try to avoid the redundancies, we try to store the data more than once, sometimes it becomes necessary to have some little redundancy in our database. So if we are having such kind of redundancies, if there are any anomalies present, then we should note those redundancies or anomalies so that while writing the application program, the programmer will take care of those anomalies, right? So this is guideline number 2. Now, under this, let us look at what kinds of anomalies we are talking about. So, let us talk about data redundancy and what kinds of anomalies we may face due to this data redundancy. So, let's see one example schema. So, we are having the relation schema, instructor department schema, wherein we are having the attributes like ID, name, salary, department name, building and budget. So, this is the entire relation. This is a single relation that we are having. And let us look at this particular instance of this relation, right? So, if we look at this particular instance of this relation, instant department, whether we are having any kind of redundancies in this data, whether we are having any kind of redundancies in this data. So what we mean by redundancy? Redundancy means duplication. So whether we are having any data that is being duplicated in this relation, if we look at this instance, obviously we are having some duplicate data here. Say for example, if we look at the records, those belong to the same department, say for example computer science department, right? Then if in this instance, if I am having 3 records with computer science department, please see here the building and budget values are being duplicated. So in every record we need to store this building and budget value, right? So this is the duplication that we are having in this particular relation. So if we are having such kind of a design wherein we are having some kind of redundancy, then as I stated earlier, we may face insertion anomalies or deletion anomalies or modification or updation anomalies. So let's see first what we mean by insertion anomalies. So what are insertion anomalies? What we mean by insertion anomalies? As the name suggests, if we try to insert data in this relation, if I try to insert data in this relation, say for example, let us assume that we are inserting a person or the instructor, say with instructor ID 10103, name of the instructor say X, salary of the instructor say 45,000, department of the instructor say physics, right? Then physics department is in Watson building and the budget is 70,000. So while inserting the data with respect to this particular instructor, I need to insert the building of this physics department where this person is working and also the budget of that department, right? So what we mean by insertion anomalies? See, data for this building and budget for a particular department name are repeated for each instructor of the department. So say for example, if I am having 100 instructors from a particular department, then obviously I am going to repeat this building and budget for respective department times. So if I am having 100 instructors from one department, then what I am going to do? I am going to repeat this building and budget information for that respective department 100 times, right? So I am storing that same data 100 times for 100 tuples belonging to that particular department. So obviously I am wasting this space if I follow such kind of a strategy, if I am having such kind of a design. So it complicates updating also, and there is a possibility that we may introduce the inconsistency in the redundant attributes. Okay, what else? The other drawback of such kind of a design is we cannot store information about a department if no instructor is appointed yet. Say for example, the university has decided to start a new department, say mechanical department. So if a new department, mechanical, is being started in the university, not necessarily the instructors are appointed. So new mechanical department has started, but now still the instructors are not appointed. Now what will happen if I have not yet appointed the instructors? It may not be possible for me to store the information of that department. So what department information we have? Name of the department, building and budget. So if I am having mechanical department which is located say in Watson building, right, with some budget, that information may not be possible to store in this relation if no instructor is being appointed yet. Now one may say that even though the instructor is not being appointed, it is possible to insert this mechanical department. How? We may insert this mechanical department with say Watson building and some budget, right? And as we are not having any instructor appointed yet, what we need to do? We need to put the null values here, right? So even though it is possible to use null values and store the new department, using null values is difficult to handle. So we should avoid using null values. So such a scheme of inserting the data for a new department with instructor attributes as nulls is not a good practice. And we should avoid such things using the null values. So if we are having a new department in the university and we have not appointed the instructors yet, then it becomes difficult to store the information related to that department, right? So this is what we mean by insertion anomalies. Okay, and if we are having such kind of a design of a database schema with redundant information, then obviously this is a drawback. Okay, now let us proceed with the same example but the next anomaly. So once again we are having this instructor department schema and the instance of this relation. So let's see what we mean by deletion anomalies. Obviously these deletion anomalies are related with our delete operation. So delete operation means deleting the tuples from the relation. Okay, now what is the consequence of having redundant data, right? And what we mean by this deletion anomaly? If we are having a single instructor from a particular department, and if we want to delete that particular instructor record, from our relation. Then what will happen? See here, for example, we are having this music department. Suppose we are having this music department with a single entry. So only one instructor we have from this music department. And suppose we want to delete this instructor. We want to delete this instructor, Mozart, from our database. Now, deleting data from the relation means deleting the entire tuple, right? Deleting entire tuple means deleting this entire information from our relation. So if it happens that if I want to delete a particular instructor, and if that instructor is the only instructor from that department, then the delete operation will delete not only the information about the instructor but the information about the department also. So this information about music department will also get deleted, and this is what we mean by deletion anomalies. And why we are having this deletion anomaly? Because of bad design of a database, right? Now let us proceed with the last anomaly that we would like to focus upon. So once again, look at this particular relation, instructor department relation, and the instance. So same instance we are having, and now we are going to talk about the modification or the updation anomalies. So what we mean by modification or updation? So to modify the data or to update the data in the relation in SQL, we use the update statement. So update statement will help us to modify the values of the attributes for the existing tuple. So update works for existing tuples. Right? Now, what are the consequences now of this data or this relation having data redundancy? So modifying value of one of the attributes of the department requires modification in all the records belonging to that department. What does this mean? Here we are having redundancy. In this design we are having redundancy, and this redundancy is with respect to the department attributes. Department attributes, right? So if I am having, once again, if I am having 100 instructors, say from computer science department, right now we are having 3, but let us assume that we are having 100 instructors from this computer science department. Then due to this redundancy in these department attributes, building and budget, I am storing this building value and budget value with respect to every instructor belonging to that department. So if I am having 100 instructors belonging to that department, 100 times I am going to store this information, right? But now if I want to update the value related to one of the department attributes, say for example the department is shifted to new building, right? So computer science department is shifted to new building. So what I need to do? I need to update this value for building, for computer science record. Now if I am having many instructors from the same department, what I need to do is I need to update all those records. So if I am having 100 records, then I need to update all those 100 records for this single change in building, right? So I need to update all those 100 tuples to reflect the change, the new name of the building. If I forget to do this, what will happen? We will have the inconsistency in the data. So if I changed the value of the building for one record, and if I am not changing the value of the building for this other record, then obviously what will happen? For one of the records, I will be having the data like computer science department is in building Taylor, and for another computer science record, I will be having some different building name. So this is the inconsistency of the data. Afterwards, I do not know which is the correct data, which is the correct information about the department, because one record reflects some building, another record reflects some another building. And why this has happened? Because we are having redundant data, and by mistake, instead of updating all those tuples, we have updated few tuples and we have skipped few tuples, right? So modifying value of one of the attributes of department requires modification in all the records belonging to that department. Otherwise, we may have the inconsistency in the result. Okay, so I hope you must have understood this concept of anomalies. So we may have insertion anomalies, we may have deletion anomalies, and we may have the modification or updation anomalies. And the reason why we are having those anomalies is the bad design of the data. And this design is due to we have introduced data redundancy while designing the relations, and this should not happen. So this was related to guideline number 2 and the anomalies that we may have. In the next session, we'll continue our discussion related to the remaining informal guidelines for designing the database. Right? So let's stop today. Thank you.